This is the marvelous mirror between both players. By that we mean, of course, they're both playing Teamer Aetherworks Marvel.
75 card mirror, same shirt, roughly the same haircut. Very few advantages to be gleaned.
So Jim Davis, Servant of the Conduit in play. His hand appears to be 2 Puzzle Knots and a Tireless Tracker. Got a lot of energy in reserve. For Jessup, he's got 2 energy, 3 lands, but he's got 2 vessels. His hand might be making more easily than Jim's is.
He has a lot of looks at a Marvel here, assuming that he doesn't already have it. And Jessup's the kind of player, his posturing never gives anything away. He's a very difficult player to read.
And from Jim Davis, it's going to be Wood Weaver's Puzzle Knot. Up to 7 energy. This 7 energy means if he draws a Marvel next turn, he can both cast and immediately activate it.
It's a good spot to be in, but you need the Marvel. Notably in these post-sideboard games, these players do have some number of Ceremonious Rejection and Negate. Jessup was representing blue mana there. So if Jim did have it, it's not necessarily incentivized to cast it in that window. And here we see Jessup does Vessel into the Marvel.
Yes, now he does have Aetherworks Marvel. He's going to untap. He'll be able to cast the Marvel. However, he has to respect the fact that Jim might have Ceremonious Rejection, and Jessup doesn't have 6 energy yet.
Right. And if Jessup has a counterspell of his own, he can't cast Marvel on this turn and leave up a counter for a potential Marvel from Jim.
So, 4th land. Does he respect the counterspell? He does. He's just going to say go.
I like it.
So, back to Jim Davis. His draw, not a Marvel. It's going to be a basic forest.
Does have a Tireless Tracker, though, so he can start grinding out some value playing that game. Given that Jessup has a face-up Marvel, the tracker line is generally a lot weaker than that, but he needs to draw into his Marvel. There's some argument for Jim posturing as if he's able to interact with Jessup, though as soon as Jessup gets to a point where he has Marvel plus Negate, that stops mattering.
And this is interesting. Look at Jim really try to sell the Ceremonious Rejection. He's going to go ahead and use an energy to play Tireless Tracker, and then play his land to get a clue. But he left up that island. He's really he's hoping that Jessup doesn't just jam here.
Right, and he has an abundance of energy that only spends him down to 6. So
yeah, I like this a lot.
Not completely free, but the cost was minimal. Definitely like the play.
Another Vessel sacrifice for Jessup. He sees Aether Hub or Ulamog. He'll go with the land. It's Aether Hub. We already know he has Marvel in hand, so any energy producer is pretty good news for Jessup.
This is also a matchup where you generally want to make a lot of land drops. Sometimes it's just going to come down to casting Emrakul's. Casting and activating Ishkanas. Especially in these builds where they have the counterspell where the Marvel is less likely to actually resolve.
So we go back to Jessup, and you see he starts the turn with a 7-card hand. All he's done is played cantrips this game. And it looks like he's got a lot of Servants of the Conduit get killed. 3 of them now. So here's 4 mana from Jessup. Is he going to go for the Marvel? He's going to go for Chandra.
Yep.
Neat, yeah. And he's trying to hold up his own Ceremonious while playing Chandra. This is smart.
Yeah, just respect that. If the counterspell that Jim has is Negate, sure, you countered my Chandra. I can just go for Marvel on the following turn.
Yeah, it means you didn't negate my Marvel, so I'm pretty happy.
Right. Also, just shoving with the Chandra, if it resolves, you kill Jim's Tireless Tracker, which is what's tethering him to this game. Outside of that, Jim doesn't have a lot going on.
Chandra, -3s will kill off Jim's Tireless Tracker. Andrew will say go. Jim draws a card, though, off the clue, so Tireless Tracker doing some work. Draws him, though, into another land. That's not too much help. Back to Jim Davis. He is looking in a tough spot as he draws a tune with the Aether. He just doesn't have much action, and Andrew Jessup is playing this conservatively with counter magic.
Jim definitely wants to attack down this Chandra. If you let that survive and it starts adding 2 mana on Jessup's turns, he's accelerated very quickly into that position where he's just casting the spells that matter in the matchup. Could even get in a spot where he could cast 2 Marvels in the same turn.
And Jim's done what I like about Jim's play here is he's not drawing anything, but he's doing a great job of making Andrew play slowly. It's giving him extra turns to draw something. Now the problem is that if Jim doesn't draw anything, this doesn't matter. Eventually Andrew starts casting cards with counterspell backup. When Andrew does, he'll start to realize Jim never had anything in the first place.
Right, and Andrew is just ahead on cards too. So it just comes a time where you start bullying his hand, and if he has a couple things, sure, he counters your first couple spells, but if your fist is just full of haymakers, just keep making them.
You can only pretend so much that you have a good hand. Eventually you actually have to have it.
Right, you're not just relying on respect, you're relying on respect to the point of actually making a tactical error and not jamming when you're supposed to, given the resources available.
Yeah, or maybe, you know, if Jim buys enough turns with this kind of play, maybe he'll actually draw the cards he was pretending to have in the first place.
True.
But he hasn't done that.
No.
And that's where his hand of, you know, another puzzle knot doesn't really play. He's got down to 2 cards. And he'll say go. And now we'll see just how many more turns Andrew's willing to respect Jim's holdings. He's only got 2 cards. Andrew has Ceremonious plus Marvel. I think plus second Marvel. At some point, he just starts trying these.
Right. There are some matchups in Standard where Ceremonious has a little bit extra value when the counterspell is Void Shatter, and you get to actually fight a counter war with it.
That's so disgusting.
Rejection doesn't do that in this matchup.
Yeah. And Andrew playing Attune with Aether this turn. That means he's up to 5 energy. If you add the Aether Hub in his hand, he is ready for the Aetherworks Marvel. Attune finds a basic island. And Andrew will go ahead and play the island he found. Is he ready to play into counterspells yet? No. He'll go ahead and just pass the turn. Jim will continue to build up his energy reserves with the Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. Now up to, it looks like, 11 energy.
Given that Jim has 2 cards in hand, you probably confidently start jamming your haymakers if you have 3 or more. If you just have 2, there is the potential that you cast them and you just lose to what Jim already has.
Jim's hand just not helping, draws another land. Hits with Servant of the Conduit. Now there is this concern, right? If he gives Jim enough turns, Jim can just top deck an Emrakul and cast it.
Yes. You can still Ceremonious Rejection the 13/13. And
oh gosh, it counters that too, doesn't it? It's
right.
so good.
And Jessup not super vulnerable to a Mindslaver at this point in time.
Yeah. No, that 1 mana to counter my 13 drop feels bad. And now Andrew makes a play. He's going to play Aetherworks Marvel, and the bad news for Jim is the jig is up. He doesn't have anything, and now Andrew knows it. The Marvel just straight away resolves.
And that means on the following turns, Jessup is likely
not
to be
respecting now.
more proactive with whatever he has.
Taps the Marvel. Well, he could still miss. We see 6 cards, and it looks like we do see a miss. Natural State. Second Marvel is a reasonable option. He's going to go ahead and take his first free spell.
Presumably something that makes some energy.
Yeah, let him try
Woodweaver's
again.
Puzzle Knot.
That's exactly what he's going to do. 3 energy off that. And I suppose you're right. He's got 3 more lands in play. He can try again next turn. And that is what he'll get. All the spells in the world you could have for free, and you choose Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. Standard is great. But 3 energy, 3 life for Jessup. Can hold up that counter spell.
I got a lot of respect for Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot as somebody who frequently played Trigon of Mending as the 23rd card in my draft decks.
Yeah, you play any artifact. You gotta get to Metalcraft. And for Jim, it's just another basic. It's not... He's bought himself a lot of turns. He's played this well. If you buy yourself 5 turns, and on these 5 turns extra you get, you draw 5 lands, you're still going to lose.
Right. You can only do so much. You have to actually produce cards that can win the game.
And we might see Jim start to more actively dump his hand here. The bluff that he actually has something relevant, you see now he plays Puzzle Knot, it just doesn't work anymore.
Right.
We've been there. Jessup knows there's nothing. So Jim passes on end step. Jessup sacrifices the puzzle knot. Goes up to 7 energy thanks to Aetherworks Marvel.
And he's going to spin the wheel again.
He missed the first time. Untaps, he's going to try again. Draws another Marvel.
He's getting into the territory where he can cast the majority of the stuff he has going on. There are 2 Ulamogs. He's a little out of range for that.
Yeah, it's not just that Andrew Jessup has the Marvel. He also has more cards in hand. He also has the same number of lands in play. He's just winning.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 more. We see Evolving Wilds, Vessel, Forest. There's Emrakul, Botanical Sanctum, and Harness Lightning. So the first Eldrazi in the game has hit the table. She's 13-13. Andrew will cast her. We'll get Jim's next turn. And he'll learn just how little is in Jim's hand now.
Mm-hmm. And Andrew still has Ceremonious Rejection in hand, so if Jim draws Marvel, frequently in a lot of the builds of this matchup, there's nothing you can do. If they draw it, he can just make Jim cast it into Ceremonious Rejection.
It's not bad either. Jim's going to crack a puzzle knot, goes to 14 energy. Do that, and now it's Andrew's turn. Basic Mountain in hand, draws the card, Chandra, Torch of Defiance. That one, you can't screw it up too much.
No, you can play it and make it use all 3 of its loyalty.
Yeah, make it shoot Emrakul. That's
right.
A poorly advised decision.
The servant's already going to die in combat, but you can just shoot the servant. Whatever. There's a couple ways to play that.
Is there any reason that you'd want to plus it and hope to find a really destructive card? Something that Jim some sort of.
I can't think of anything
spell.
in this matchup really.
What Andrew chooses to do is just have Jim not cast it. He kills the Servant of the Conduit and gives Jim another turn. Jim draws another land. It's just been that kind of game.
And if you do cast it and just take it down, it does survive. Jim could theoretically draw and cast an Ulamog with the plus ability by making 2 red mana. So I like not casting there.
4 mana is going to be Chandra. It's going to plus her to try to find something. If Jessup even lets him, and no, he'll negate. That's a huge show of strength to negate a Chandra. It doesn't even
when
really
he can
win
just attack it with the Emrakul.
No redraws, just no.
Right.
Worldbreaker picked up for Andrew Jessup. He will attack with Emrakul. Thanks to these puzzle knots, Jim has a couple of turns to work with, but that's about it. He goes down to 19 on the first swing.
I'd be happy to Worldbreaker that island off the battlefield. It's unlikely to matter, but it's Jim's only blue source.
Yeah, you see 5 card types in Jim's yard and 8 lands in play. I would love to take away a land. That means he can't cast Emrakul. Andrew agrees. Worldbreaker gets rid of island. It's exiled. Now a top-decked Emrakul is not castable for Jim.
And Jessup still representing Ceremonious Rejection.
Actually, I should back up. Jim has 5 laid out Delirium on the top of his graveyard, but it should be 6. That Chandra he lost is a 6th card type, so Emrakul is still alive.
Were it not for the rejection and Jessup's hand.
Yeah, and just for the record, for those watching at home, that is the kind of thing that we would not correct here. Because Jim is tracking that on his own. We can't coach the players, so if Jim is if Jim's counting his graveyard wrong, that's fine. If he went to try to cast the Emrakul for 8, we'd say, hey, that's too much mana.
Yeah, only if it leads to an illegal action.
Right.
Do you make a correction there?
Well, here's an action. Jim drawing another Servant of the Conduit. That's not going to play, and now we have a swing for 18 from Jessup, and we're getting very close to being lethal.
Grizzly Bear with Upside is a very impressive-looking card if you were playing in 1998. Emrakul looks like some kind of fever dream nightmare if you're from that era.
Jim's going to win the Most Energy Made in One Game award, but that is not going to do much. No. 17 energy.
And for the returning players champion, his back is on the wall.
Yeah, takes the damage. He's going to go to 1. I believe Andrew has him covered with a counterspell. Marvel spun twice, hitting Emrakul. Andrew cast Worldbreaker, and we go to Jim's last turn. It's a draw phase. He hasn't even looked at it. He does. It's an Aether Hub. It's not going to play. Taps all the mana, casts Aether Hub. And that is going to be the match. 2016 is going to have a new Players' Championship. Jim Davis falling 2-0 to teammate Andrew Jessup means that Jim is out of the tournament, and for Andrew Jessup, he is into the quarterfinals.
If Jim had to lose, I'm sure he's happy it was to a teammate. Of course, unhappy that he did have to lose.